What is going on, good people? Welcome into the Delmarva Sports Insider, the only live and local show dedicated to giving you all local sports all the time. I'm Sports Director Trayvon Miles.
And I'm Brandon Bossert. It is semifinals time. 5 local schools with a chance to play for a championship coming up next week.
Yeah, Brandon, we are deep into the DIAA playoffs right now. As you said, we had 5 local teams vying for 3 spots in next week's championship games.
Yeah, that's right. Now, we called this run for Laurel very early on in the season. The Bulldogs have delivered for us. But Indian River gave them a game a few weeks ago, so my thoughts, how would Laurel respond tonight?
Yeah, that's right. Let's begin in the 1A division. Since realignment was announced in the state of Delaware, we've had our eyes on the Laurel Bulldogs, who landed in the lowest division. Now, it was known, at least around here, that Laurel would have a great shot at competing in this class. And that's exactly what they've done since the year has begun, hosting IR in the rematch of their Week 9 meeting. That game was an instant classic with Laurel winning by 1 in OT. Tonight, much different story. Kylie's Wilson, big return to open the game. That would lead to this. 1-yard touchdown run by Caden Shockley. Dogs out to a quick 7-0 lead. Next drive, 3rd and very long. Shockley going to find Javier White for the conversion. More from him a little later, but that would lead to this a little bit later. Wilson going to get it at the goal line, and he is going to plunge in. 14-0 early second quarter. The Dogs are rolling. Shortly after, Laurel blocks a punt, and this happens. Kyler Weaver takes the sweep 4 yards for the score. The Bulldogs score twice in a matter of 3 minutes to lead 21-0.
That's right. Defense not letting up. They dominated IR's offensive line. Patrick Bell in the backfield all night. 18 seconds till the end of the half.
My goodness.
And check out this punt. What went wrong here? Well, the punt goes off someone's helmet. Laurel recovers at the 6-yard line. That leads to one of the best catches of the year.
Ooh.
Perfect placement. And there's Javi White getting a knee in bounds, Trey.
Give me my money.
That's one of the best plays that we've seen all season long.
We're going to see it later.
Yeah, go wild on the sidelines. Laurel goes into the locker room with a 27-0 lead. Hey, the Bulldogs, they know how to celebrate.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of it this year. They go on to win in dominant fashion, 33-0, the final score. Talk about revenge.
Yeah, so Laurel advances to their first state championship game since 2014, back with my guy. They were being led by my guy, Glenn Phillips. They'll play the winner of tomorrow's Tatnall-St. Elizabeth's game on Saturday. Now, Brandon, Laurel has not won it all since 1991, so this thing is 30 years in the making, and I can't believe we're saying it, but ever since we were talking about it, Brandon, if you remember, at the coaches' conference, when we had Joey Jones here in studio, we talked about this as a possibility. He said we're going to take it one game at a time. Hard to believe we are already here, and this could happen next weekend.
Yeah, you know what? Not too surprising when you look at the competition in 1A.
Yeah.
All along I've thought that their best competition would be up north in St. Elizabeth, but let's get back to tonight. So impressed with Laurel. This is the same team you nearly lost to a few weeks ago. Tonight you come out and put them away early on, and that's how you get it done in the playoffs when you're at home facing a team that you should win. The offense tonight is so lethal. We saw Caden Shockley at quarterback, Javi White making unreal catches like this one right here. Kylie's Wilson getting turned loose at running back. I mean, that's a 3-headed monster right there, along with that offensive line. The offensive line dominating all night long. It will be tough to see this team get beaten next week.
Yeah,
I don't see who they could lose to.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting because one thing about it that we saw tonight that we did not expect, that did not happen a couple weeks ago, was they absolutely dominated Indian River's line. I do not want to understate that. That defensive line that Laurel has, led by J.J. Cannon, those guys are ferocious. Patrick Bell, they played lights out all night. They dominate that line. That's why the score looked the way it did.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on now. After last year's quick playoff exit, Woodbridge was at home tonight looking to return to the state championship game.
That's right.
The Blue Raiders sporting a spotless 11-0 record,
Dooley.
and they welcomed in Wilmington
That's my
Friends.
guy.
The defense stepping up again tonight. Seatric Stones is there for the interception, and he's running it back deep behind enemy lines right here. 3 plays later,
Nice
get
shot,
the rock
Bossert.
to Kenny Newton.
Nice
Let him
shot.
do the rest. Number 6 takes it to the casa, and Newton running over to the stands, getting the home
amigos.
crowd fired up.
Yeah.
Now, all that worked so well. Let's do that again. Friends goes to the air again. Ball's tipped and into the hands of Stones once again, Trey.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you can guess where the highlights are headed. Handoff to Newton, bursting through the hole, taking heads off, breaking through some arm tackles. He's gone 29 yards. Newton has a 2-point conversion.
Let him hear it.
16-0. Yeah, he just can't be stopped, and they just kept on feeding him. Handoff goes here for another long run. That would set up Woodbridge again. This time it'd be number 2, Jordan Evans, capping off the drive. Woodbridge gave up 2 scores late, but they controlled this game throughout. How about this? The Blue Raiders are headed to Newark for another state championship appearance. They win by a final of 24-14.
That's right. They're heading to Newark next weekend. Marvin Dooley comes down to Greenwood, and he has delivered so far. He's a championship head coach up at William Penn back in 2014. Could be leading another team to a championship this time around. They're 12-0. They're back in the state title game. The first half tonight, Woodbridge, they were in control both sides of the ball the entire way through, disrupting Friends' passing game, getting penetration and stopping the run. And the offensive line opened up some huge holes like we saw for Newton tonight. But there is a big gap between this Friends team and the 2 teams remaining on the other side of the bracket between Archmere and DMA.
Wow.
But now, we're going to the big game, whether they face Archmere or DNA. I got to say, I think that Woodbridge is the underdog in either of these matchups, especially if they play Archmere, a team that outclassed them in last year's playoff.
Wow. I think that's interesting because I think that Woodbridge can and will defeat either one of those teams next week. Woodbridge actually benefited from the point system and avoiding either one of these teams until the championship. But I also think that somehow has instilled some confidence in these guys as this year came to a close. Now, if you remember correctly, there was a time where this team was not particularly playing well. They kept rolling and they were able to win through those growing pains. Instead of taking losses, they were taking wins while they weren't happy the way they were playing. They were still getting W's. I think that has given them the benefit of the doubt going into the playoffs and later on into the playoffs into right now. I know Friends isn't what they used to be or what these other teams are, but I don't think there's anyone that can stop Woodbridge from their destiny this year. We saw Coach Dooley sit on this very desk during the coaches conference again and say he took this job because he thought he had a chance to win a championship with these young men, and by all intents and purposes, again, we think that is a possibility.
And Trey,
come next
one
week.
thing that you said there, you know what? It doesn't matter if it looks good or it's ugly. Just go out there and win. And
yeah.
Woodbridge is just one win away from a state championship.
Absolutely right. All right, the third and final semifinal this evening was also a rematch. Smyrna jumped out to a 20-0 lead on Dover in Week 7, riding off with a 34-13 win. Last week, Dover avenged the loss against St. George's, looking to do the same tonight against their old conference rivals from the north. Smyrna starts fast. How fast? Look at how explosive number 25 is. Don't even touch me. Wayne Knight takes it in from 12 yards out. Eagles out to an 8-0 lead. Later on, check out this smooth play. Cameron Edge in the pocket, doing his best. Dak Prescott gonna roll out, square his shoulders, deliver a strike to Ymir Knight. Number 8 comes down with touchdown catch number 1 on the night.
I'd say looks more like Carson Wentz on that play. Dover responds. Nasheem Cosme dropping back. Finds Sir William Bauer of Kentshire there, wide open down the sidelines for 6. Trey, you like that?
I love it, man.
You just got to pay your 3 pence to get into the game, and you see plays like this. Dover gave the Eagles fits tonight, but the offense was just too much as Edge finds Devin DeMoe. Smyrna up 24-7 going into halftime, but you know what? The Senators made this thing close. It was just a 3-point game in the 4th quarter. But you know what? The Eagles rallied late. They scored 3 times, and the final score was 46-21, so they ended up blowing out Dover in the process.
Yeah, so Smyrna is back into a state title game for the first time since 2017. Now, that might not seem like a long time, especially given how long we talk about with teams like Laurel and these other teams who take long times to get back to titles. But 4 years is a long time for a program who busted onto the scene with 3 straight titles. When Smyrna won those 3 straight titles, I think we took it for granted that they would be the team that was going to go every year. But it's been 4 years since they've been in a title game, but they are back. Got to give credit again to Coach Mike Judy and his staff. They took their lumps early. They played a great team. They played probably the best competition that anyone around here has and will see all year long when they took on Bergen Catholic, the number 9 team in the entire country. They got embarrassed up there in New Jersey, but that did not matter ultimately to their schedule. They wanted to play some great competition, see some great talent, not just beat up on some non-conference teams or whatever, or some non-state teams. So they did that with the intentions on getting to this game. Congratulations to them, and looking forward to seeing what they have next week.
Yeah, you know what? Dover gave Smyrna a scare tonight, but the Eagles showed a lot tonight in putting Dover away late. You know what? Sean Green with WDEL reporting that Wayne Knight rushed for 292 yards, caught 2 passes for 41, had 3 touchdowns tonight. You know what? I said it earlier this week. If Dover can contain Knight, you have a chance. But you know what? That's much easier said than done.
It is.
292 yards. This kid is just insane. And you know what? He may not even be the best Knight brother. Yeah, you know, we saw Will a couple years ago.
That's a totally different debate.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. We could have a whole segment on that. But you know what? The Knight brothers, they are a different breed. Unfortunately, next week will be Wayne's final high school game. I can't believe it that we're saying that. We've still got Ymir for 1 more year, but hopefully he can leave high school a state champion because he deserves to get a ring.
Yeah, one of the most explosive players that we have seen here, along with his brother. So we're wishing that those Knight brothers go out on top.
All right, so we have Smyrna, Woodbridge, and Laurel in championship games next weekend. So who will they play? Well, we'll find that out tomorrow. In Class 1A, Laurel will play the winner of Tatnall and St. Elizabeth. Now, I got to tell you, St. E won 44-6.
So Laurel versus St. E's, that's what we need to put in.
That's what we're looking at. Okay. But you know what? St. Elizabeth has a star running back that's quite injured right now, so we'll see what happens. A lot of people saying St. Elizabeth is not the same team as they were earlier in the season.
So you're telling me Laurel's going to win it all?
Yeah, I'm going to say Laurel's going to win it all no matter who they're playing. Might be running clock.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
It honestly might be running clock from what I'm hearing from all my guys upstate. But in 2A, Archmere and DMA meeting in a rematch. The Auks just won a game against the Seahawks 27-7 3 weeks ago. We'll see if DMA can make it closer. And then the big game on the menu is Sally's and Middletown. Winner plays Smyrna. And obviously that game didn't play a few weeks ago because of that accident outside the stadium just before game time.
Yeah, that is going to be an awesome game, Salesianum against Middletown. So, you know, Smyrna, whoever wins that game, I will say, they have to play that game and they have to go and play Smyrna. So Smyrna definitely benefited from the points as well. Everything worked out. Brandon, so to wrap everything up, I know you don't want to focus just on a couple of these teams, but what did you see tonight?
Well, you know what? I just want to give a shout out to the 2 teams that didn't advance tonight. Indian River showed a lot of heart this season. They turned things around, had a winning year down there in Dagsboro.
The state semis,
They advanced to the state semifinals. Great job by the team, even though they didn't show up tonight against Laurel.
They didn't.
You know what? They gave Laurel their best shot a couple weeks ago.
They did.
They got a winning record. We'll see what they do next year. And then Dover, they have a bright future under Chip Knapp. How many people honestly thought that Dover would keep up with Smyrna into the 4th quarter tonight?
Not me.
Well, that team showed a lot of promise this year. They have great leadership moving forward. I expect to see a lot out of the Senators.
Yeah, you make an awesome point. Chip Knapp's first year there with the Dover Senators. He's obviously a guy that had great success at Wesley. And with that program and that school shutting down, Dover just kind of fell into their lap, an offensive genius and a leader of men who's done it on the college level and who obviously has already had great success on the high school level. So we look forward to the Senators and what they have next year as Coach Knapp looks to continue to bring that program back to prominence like we've seen back in the glory days. All right, that's going to do it for the A block. We're taking a quick commercial break, but when we return, one former state champion now turned into a national champion. The story of the evolution of a Delmarva Wildcat alum. That is up next when the Delmarva Sports Insider returns.
Hi, my name is JJ Cannon. I play offensive guard and defensive tackle at Laurel High School, and you're watching Delmarva Sports Insider.